When I was in Korea, I had a chance to, or in Tokyo rather, I had a chance to see an exhibit with an astronaut. A Japanese astronaut who was at the International Space Station, and it was looking at the entire globe, and there. Tracking now changing weather patterns, in part because it gives us the ability to respond to disasters quicker. And when you see astronauts from Japan or from the United States or from Russia or others working together, and they're looking down at this planet from a distance, you realize we're all on this little rock in the middle of space, and the differences that seem so important to us from a distance dissolve into nothing. And so, we have to have that same perspective, respecting everybody, treating everybody equally under the law. That has to be a principle that all of you uphold. Great question. Let's see, hold on. This gentleman right here, right there with the glasses. Question. President Obama, hello. Question. President Obama, that's a great question. I told you that when I graduated from college, I wanted to work in poor neighborhoods. And so, I moved to Chicago and I worked. This community had gone through some very difficult times. The steel plants there, the steel mills had closed. A lot of manufacturing was moving out of America or becoming technologically obsolete, these old mills. And so, these were areas that had been entirely dependent on steel. And as those jobs left, the communities were being abandoned. And there was also racial change in the area. They had been predominantly white, and then blacks and Latinos had moved in. And there was fear among the various groups. So they had a lot of problems. I will tell you this. What I did was I organized a series of meetings listening to people to find out what they wanted to do something about first. The most immediate problem they saw was there was a lot of crime that had emerged in the area. But they didn't quite know how to do anything about it. So I organized a meeting with the police commander, so that they could file their complaints directly. To the police commander and try to get more action to create more safe space in those communities for children and to end people standing on street corners, because it was depressing the whole community. Now, here's the main thing I want to tell you. That first meeting, nobody came. It was a complete failure and I was very depressed, because I thought, well, everybody said that they were concerned about crime, but when I organized the meeting nobody came. And what it made me realize is that if you want to bring about change in a community or in a nation, it's not going to happen overnight. Usually, it's very hard to bring about change, because people are busy in their daily lives. They have things to do. One of the things I realized was I hadn't organized the meeting at the right time. It was right around dinner time, and if people were working they were coming home and picking up their kids. And they couldn't get to the meeting fast enough. So, first of all, you've got to try to get people involved. And a lot of people are busy in their own lives or they don't think it's going. To make a difference, or they're scared if they're speaking out against authority. And many of the problems that we're facing, like trying to create jobs or better opportunity or dealing with poverty or dealing with the environment, these are problems that have been going on for decades. And so, to think that somehow you're going to change it in a day or a week. And then if it doesn't happen, you just give up, well, then you definitely won't succeed. So the most important thing that I learned as a young person trying to bring about change is you have to be persistent. And you have to get more people involved. And you have to form relationships with different groups and different organizations. And you have to listen to people about what they're feeling and what they're concerned about. And build trust. And then, you have to try to find a small part of the problem and get success on that first. So that maybe from there you can start something else and make it bigger and make it bigger. Until over time you are really making a difference in your community and in that problem. But you can't be impatient. And the great thing about young people is they're impatient. The biggest problem with young people is they're impatient. It's a strength, because it's what makes you want to change things. But sometimes, you can be disappointed if change doesn't happen right away and then you just give up. And you just have to stay with it and learn from your failures, as well as your successes. Anita. Moderator Wu, Mr. President, thank you very much. We have a question from our friend in Singapore. He asks, what is the legacy you wish to leave behind? President Obama, I've still got 2.5 years left as president, so I hope he's not rushing me. Now, my most important legacy is Malia and Sasha, who are turning out to be wonderful young people. That's important, because if you don't do those things well, then everything else you're going to have some problems with. But I think as president, what I've tried to do in the United States, is really focus on how do you create opportunity for all people. And when I first came into office, we were in a huge financial crisis that had hit the entire world. And it was the worst crisis the United States had had since the 1930s. So the first thing I had to do was just make sure that we stop the crisis and start allowing the economy to recover. And we've now created more than 9 million jobs and the economy is beginning to improve for a lot of people. But what you've also seen is a trend in the United States but also around the world in which even when the economy grows, it tends to benefit a lot of people at the very top. But the vast majority of people, they don't benefit as much. And you're starting to see bigger and bigger gaps in inequality and in wealth and in opportunity. And that's true not just in the United States, it's true in Europe. It's long been true in parts of Asia, it's been true in Latin America. And I believe that economies work best when growth and development is broad-based. When it's shared, when ordinary people, if they work hard and they take responsibility, they can succeed. Not everybody is going to be rich, but everybody should be able to live a good life. Not everybody is going to be a billionaire. But everybody should be able to have a nice home and educate their children and feel some sense of security. So that's not something that I can do by myself as President of the United States. But everything that I do, whether it's providing more help for people to go to college, or giving early childhood education to young children, because we know that the younger children get some additional schooling. Especially poor children, the better off they'll do in school for all the years to come. To the work that we're trying to do in providing health care for all Americans so that they don't experience a crisis when somebody in their family gets sick. All of those efforts are with the objective of making sure that ordinary people if they work hard and act responsibly, they can succeed. And internationally, my main goal has been to work with other partners to promote a system of rules so that conflicts can be resolved peacefully. So that nations observe basic rules of behavior, so that whether you're a big country or a small country, you know that there are certain principles that are observed that might doesn't just make right. But that there's a set of ideals and there's justice both inside countries and between countries. Now, that means trying to end the proliferation of nuclear weapons, which are a threat to humanity. And we've made progress in that front, me negotiating the reduction of our nuclear stockpiles with the Russians. And trying to resolve through diplomacy the problem that Iran has been trying to pursue nuclear weapons. And working with countries like Malaysia to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. That means working to get chemical weapons out of Syria. It means trying to promote a just peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. It means opening up to Burma. And I was the first president to visit there, and seeing if we could take advantage of the opportunity. With Aung San Suu Kyi's release to create a country that was a responsible part of the world order. Sometimes our efforts have been successful, sometimes, as I told this young man here. My efforts initially haven't been as successful and I've had to keep on trying. And I am confident that when I'm done as president there's still going to be parts of the world that are having war. That are having conflict, that are oppressing their own people. So I'm not going to solve all these problems. I've got to leave some work for all of you. But what I do hope is that I will have made progress on each of those fronts, that if when I leave I can say there are a few more countries that are democracies now and the United States helped. If there are countries where I can say, or areas of the world where I can say we avoided. Conflict between two countries because we helped to mediate a dispute, I'll be proud of that. If there are countries where a spotlight has been shined internationally on the oppression of a minority group and it has forced that country to change its practices, that will be a success.